Welcome to our weekly news roundup. Let's begin in North America when on Wednesday, the US Geological Survey published its annual mineral commodity summaries, which is the first comprehensive overview of the production and the demand for mineral commodities in the past year. So the annual publication is also dedicated to resource policy and provides essential information on the global reserves of more than 90 commodities. So in 2023, raw materials worth 105 billion US dollars were produced in the USA, which is an increase of 4% compared to 2022. Now, nevertheless, the data now presented shows the USA's heavy dependence on imports, particularly in the case of gallium, indium, scandium, and yttrium, also 11 other commodities. So the most important countries of origin representing imports of more than 50% of a particular raw material are China, Canada, Germany, Brazil, Belgium, Mexico, Russia, and South Africa. So the USGS has also published new estimates of the volume of rare earth deposits in the most important countries of origin, including a downward revision of the US's own estimates. The adjustments are particularly significant for Russia, which according to the agency now has reserves of 10 million tons instead of 21 million tons. Now, according to the calculations, Australia's reserves are more extensive than previously assumed. This is good news for Australia, which is increasingly seeking to establish itself as an alternative to industry leader China. Now, also in the news this week in the US, the Pentagon is tapping into A1 artificial intelligence to increase strategic metals market transparency. So the Open Price Exploration for National Security, acronym OPEN, it aims to facilitate price, supply, demand forecast by developing technologies like machine learning models. So the Defense Research Projects Agency, DARPA is the acronym, a research and development agency of the US Department of Defense, is seeking ways to increase transparency into critical minerals and raw materials markets. The Pentagon argues that issues regarding pricing and inaccurate supply and demand forecasts threaten the readiness of the department to respond to supply chain challenges. This is according to the press release, which was published in October. Now, at that time, it received little attention, according to Reuters. Now, to address these issues, DARPA announced a partnership with the US Geological Survey to facilitate the development of helpful technologies. So the Open program plans to analyze commercially and publicly available cost information to construct transparent structural price predictions and use advances in time series forecasting, also economic modeling and machine learning to create accurate and precise supply and demand forecasts. A presentation describing the program stated the project's goal is to revolutionize the construction and decimation of price, supply, and demand predictions and forecasts. So the Open press release added that critical material producers and buyers may use the estimates Open publishes as a transparent information source. However, documents retrieved by Reuters clarify that the Pentagon's efforts are not intended to set an official US government metals price or replace the London Metal Exchange and other futures markets. So, elsewhere in Washington, the US and the EU talks that were held this week have failed to reach an agreement on strategic metals. And going back, first of all, to 2021, the US and the EU created, or representatives created, what's called the Trade and Technology Council, the TTC, to strengthen and steer transatlantic cooperation on trade and global challenges. Now, Thursday, the TTC held its fifth meeting in Washington, D.C. Topics of the meeting were, among other fields, artificial intelligence, secure supply chains, the green transition. And this is according, to a press statement by the EU. However, according to Reuters, the representatives disagreed on critical minerals needed for battery production. The news agency quotes European Commission Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis, who sees outstanding issues on the European side, especially regarding green energy subsidies under the US Inflation Reduction Act. Now, an agreement would have provided European car makers access to electric vehicle tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act, making them more competitive. Dombrovskis, however, vowed to continue. He said, "We are willing to continue this engagement and eventually a comprehensive agreement." The representatives agreed to hold a sixth meeting in April in Belgium. The TTC will hold a stakeholder event on crafting the transatlantic green marketplace to allow members to discuss the topics further and present views and proposals. This event will also hold workshops on the transition to green energy, solar supply chains, and permanent magnets. Now, let's go to Australia. Australia's resources minister visited South Korea and Japan this week to discuss investment opportunities. The trip is accompanied by the government releasing a catalogue of 52 investment-ready projects. Australia is consistently seeking new international partnerships under its recently unveiled critical minerals strategy to develop strategic projects and leverage its natural resources. So to this effect, the Resources Minister, Madeleine King, visited Australia's second and third largest export markets for resources and energy, which is Japan and Korea. This is just this past week. So according to a press release, King met with trade ministers for both countries in the capitals of Tokyo and Seoul, and afterwards convened with executives from major industries and utilities. Now, Australia already has critical minerals partnerships with both countries, and the visit is designed to reinforce Australia's role as a stable and reliable export partner. Australia and Japan have been collaborating under the Japan-Australia Critical Minerals Partnership since 2022. South Korea and Australia signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Critical Mineral Supply Chains in late 2021. So King's visit to the two Asian countries was also accompanied by the Australian government unveiling a prospectus of 52 investment-ready critical minerals projects. So the aptly named Australian Critical Minerals Prospectus highlights investment opportunities in projects across the critical mineral supply chain, from mining to processing and other value-adding fields. The prospectus will also be released in Korean and Japanese, highlighting the importance of the two countries for Australia's critical minerals sector. And now, what could be regarded as the biggest news item of the week, Australian media reported of a rumoured mega merger between MP Minerals USA and Lynas Corp Australia. So business newspapers report indications of increased cooperation between rare earth specialists. The Australian Financial Review wrote that the most important rare earth miners outside of China, which is MP Materials from the US, and the Australian group Lynas, could join forces, quoting industry insiders. However, according to the Australia's most important business newspaper, it is unclear what such a deal could look like. The USA and Australia want to expand their cooperation in critical minerals, for which the Climate, Critical Minerals and Clean Energy Transformation Compact was concluded in May last year. So Lynas' expertise in processing rare earths is already a building block in the US strategy for greater autonomy in the supply of rare earths. So the company is Lynas is building a refinery for these raw materials in South Texas on behalf of the Department of Defense. According to Lynas, the plant will initially process material that Lynas extracts from the Mount Weld mine in Australia, but will also be able to process resources from other suppliers. So possibly what we might see is resources from MP Materials Mountain Pass mine, 2,300 kilometers away in California. So far, the companies have not commented on the rumors of a potential collaboration. However, MP will present its quarterly figures on February 22nd, and the industry whispers will likely be a topic at the press conference. Now, that's all we've got for this week. As always, please reach out if you'd like to learn more.